Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report, Boilermaker fans, for this week's Purdue Report with Jake Dunn. Here to talk with Jake about all things Boilermakers, and we're going to start off today with some basketball, Jake. And we haven't talked in a week, and I want to talk about Braden Smith and his continued climb up the all-time list. And more importantly, Jake, the Purdue is on a roll with Braden Smith at the middle of it. I think he's probably playing the best basketball of his career and now leading the nation in assists at 9.8.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing some really incredible stuff here for Purdue. Excited to see him get back to scoring the ball. Obviously, he's known for his assists, but he kind of mentioned it in the post game press conference against Penn State. But it kind of seems like people forgot that he was a great scorer too. So good to see him. He still has that ability there to go out and kind of break the game with his scoring and his passing as well.
Yeah, he said, "Hey guys, did you forget I could score?" Because the questions were all about him scoring. So there's no doubt he can, and when he needs to, he's probably still their go-to scorer.
Yeah, I would say so. And as Iowa comes into town here, 6:30 p.m. on BTN, can also listen to it on the Purdue Global Radio Network. But Purdue's looking for their 8th straight win in a row for the second time this season. So 100th straight sellout at Mackey Arena, and also the return of the paint crew here, first time in a month, first time since December 13th. So, yeah, really good matchup here with Bennett Sturts for Iowa, and we'll get into the players here in a little bit. But I'm sure him and Bennett Sturts will try to put on a big performance here. So could very well see another performance just like Penn State here tonight for Iowa.
Braden Smith now 14th on the all-time assist list with 914. Not likely to move up into the top 13 in the next game unless he gets 20, which of course he's capable of doing, but it's not a likely thing to happen. And then 25 ahead of him is the great, and I mean great, Gary Payton. Amazing.
Yeah. Pretty cool to see Braden Smith and this ilk get players like Gary Payton, Greg Anthony, Doug Gottlieb, and Steve Blake, players like that. And I know I've kind of went through that list before, but currently he is on track to break the record in the Big Ten tournament semifinals. So if he keeps it up, which he has been racking up a lot of assists here this season, but if he keeps up at this rate, he'll break it then, and he'll finish number one by a fair margin. So certainly hope he can. Yeah, certainly hope he can keep it up, and he can put a little bit of distance between him and Bobby Hurley.
Early losses would probably be the only thing that can keep him from doing that or missing a game. Those things don't seem likely, so we will not even bother talking about it. And Jake, after the last game, Braden Smith was exactly 900 assists, and now he's exactly 1,600 points, which moves him up to 19th on the all-time list. And for Purdue fans, I just want to mention a few players who he has passed in the last few days. Jerron Cornell, great one. A.J. Hammonds, Brian Cardinal, one of the all-time greats. Isaac Haas, and Melvin McCants. That is a list. Oh, and also Brad Miller. So really good players he's passed on the all-time scoring list to move up to 19th. And just ahead of him, 20 points ahead of him, John Garrett, who played from 72 to 75. Vincent Edwards, Konzo Martin, Chad Austin, Todd Mitchell, Glenn Robinson. Those are the players directly ahead of him. He's 106 points behind Glenn Robinson's career total. So moving up that list as well.
For sure. And a few NBA names there on that list that you named off. I certainly think there is a role, for Braden Smith in the NBA, even though, he is maybe not the traditional size. I'm sure that there's a team out there that, would value what he brings to the game. So be interested to see where he ends up in the draft. But I certainly want to cherish the time he has left here in a Purdue jersey.
I really do think he's going to be a first rounder now. I didn't think that earlier this year. I do think he's going to be a first round draft pick. Of course, it'll be late in the first round because of his size and limitations, but I think he's going to be a first rounder for sure.
If he keeps up the way that he's been playing in the past few games, I would certainly agree.
And now Fletcher Loyer is up to 26th on the all-time list, just passing Eugene Parker last week and Travion Williams the game before that. So what a great class.
Certainly one of the best classes here, at the very least in recent memory. I think if they can win a national championship, could go down as the best class ever in Purdue basketball history. Think of the baby Boilers that I was 8 or 9 at the time, and that's when I first kind of started following Purdue basketball, and so I really kind of fell in love with those guys, and you got some other classes in there like the Vince Edwards, Isaac Haas, PJ Thompson, Dakota Mathias, that kind of big core that came in. That was really fundamental and laying this groundwork. And even before them, the class with Raphael Davis and AJ Hammond, they kind of brought Purdue up from the the bottom of the conference where they had been. And it just seems like each class that comes in really just kind of builds, keeps building the program and then is leaving it, better than they found it. So, if that trend continues, can only be excited about the future classes here to come. Greg, we should also mention Fletcher Loyer's position on the career 3-pointers list in Purdue basketball history. Currently, he is 5th with 240 3-pointers made in his career. 2 behind Jerron Cornell, 3 behind Echuan Moore, 10 behind Dakota Mathias, and 41 behind number 1. Can you guess who's number 1, Greg?
I think I can. I believe it would be Carson Edwards.
You would be correct. So pretty crazy to think he put up 281 3-pointers in 3 years at Purdue. So if he would have stayed a 4th year, that may be a record that be as long lasting as Bobby Hurley's here for the assists. But he's moving up the list here, and by the end of the season, hopefully he'll be fighting for that number 1 spot if things keep going well for Purdue. But certainly would be at the very least in the number 2 spot.
Jake, since we last spoke, Purdue has played twice and looked really good twice.
Looked really good on offense. I think you'd would like to see a little bit of a bigger margin in terms of victory for playing some teams that are kind of at the lower level of the conference. But a win is still a win. We saw Michigan go down. They lost at home to Wisconsin, who Purdue could have beat by 30 if they really wanted to. Really not too much to really complain about there, but a win's a win, and the Big Ten Conference can never take a win or really a team for granted in this conference. Yeah,
Jake, I thought Penn State played really well, and we just saw them a couple of nights ago play pretty well against Michigan too, and they were hitting a lot of shots. And I thought Purdue actually played pretty well in an 8-point win against a bad team. If that sounds a little strange,
they're even down one of their best players too, and they were down that same player against Michigan. Only lost by 2. Granted, it was at home for Penn State, but they played pretty well, and they seemed to kind of get up for those big games. They played a lot of the good teams in the conference close. Certainly, again, a win's a win. Not going to complain about that. I just hope that by the end of the season, some of these games that we're winning now, they're close against some of these lesser teams. Don't slip away. Like we've seen in the past.
To be honest, Jake, I haven't spent a lot of time watching Penn State. I went back and watched to see how they competed with Michigan. I thought they looked like they were really good. I didn't think Michigan looked particularly bad, although throwing in that Wisconsin result kind of changes that opinion a little. Then I thought against Purdue, they looked really good. And Purdue's offense, like you said, was really clicking, and they just couldn't shake them.
I believe there was only 2 bench points scored in the Penn State game, and that was by Daniel Jacobson off the bench there. So a lot of scoring coming from the starters, and when we've in prior games this season that get a lot of production from the bench. So I think this is really kind of showing Purdue's versatility here, where you're able to go and win games where the starters are carrying the load. You're able to go and win games where the bench is providing a lot of values. The margin of victory, although you may like it to be a little bit wider, at the end of the day, it's not exactly relevant. Purdue's not a team that really needs to run up the score. I think the winning games, obviously, at the end of the day, is the most important. But Purdue's ability just to kind of reassert itself, at the top of the league, I think is what we've seen here.
Jake, before we get to Iowa, Nebraska 61, Oregon 38 right now.
Wow.
Oregon's not very good, but
they are not very good at all. And I know they're kind of banged up, but still, that's just kind of embarrassing. I saw Iowa State also was down.
That Nebraska team's legit, man.
Yes, they are. I thought maybe maybe IU might get them at home. They were able to beat IU, and they've been playing really
turned
well.
It on at the end, and at the end of that game, they look like they could be the best team in the country
for sure. So Fred Hoiberg's got them playing really well, and mentioned Iowa State there. That they were down pretty big there in the first half, and currently right now down. They crawled it all the way back to 11. They're playing at Kansas right now. So in terms of seeding for the NCAA tournament, Purdue could actually kind of use an Iowa State loss to put them in a little better position for a 1 seed. But
Iowa State wins also help us.
Yeah, Iowa State win, makes Purdue's loss look a little bit better. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag there. If a loss would be good, but also a win makes Purdue's loss look a little better. That's something to keep an eye on as well.
According to ESPN Analytics, is favored in every game the rest of the season. So if they just take care of the business that they should, they're going to be a number 1 seed.
I certainly would agree with the fact that if they take care of business, they'll be a 1 seed. Now, if they win every single game, I would certainly be very impressed. Don't think it'll happen in this league with how good the Big Ten is, but again, it's kind of being as these seniors, Trakoff and Wren, Fletcher, Loyer, Braden, Smith, as they have kind of been a part of in the past, they're going to have that target on the back, and they're going to be on court storm watch, just like they were really throughout their whole career here at Purdue. So they've got some experience with that, and I just hope that experience will pay off here down the stretch when you go to an IU or go to Nebraska. You make that return trip back to Iowa. Some of those games that would be big matchups. That'll be good to have that experience there.
Being favored certainly does not mean you're going to win the game, but my point is it's all in their hands. Worrying about where they're going to be seated right now is probably just a waste of time because it's still a long time to go.
For sure. I do enjoy looking at the bracketology, but we're only about halfway through the season now, which it's been pretty crazy. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but we're about halfway through the regular season anyway.
And the next one is tonight. It is against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Purdue a 9.5 point favorite. According to ESPN Analytics, Purdue has an 82.9% chance of winning this game. Agree or disagree?
I'm gonna disagree. I do think Purdue does have a good chance to win this game, and I think they will. But I just think it's a little bit lower than that percentage. I'd probably say a 75% chance, so not a big change off that. But this will be the 177th meeting all time between Purdue and Iowa. Purdue holds a 98-78 series advantage. Recently, Purdue has dominated this series, winning 10 of the last 12 against Iowa. Including 4 straight victories by a combined 56 points. So Purdue's kind of had Iowa's number here for really a while. And we mentioned this game's at home. Mackey Arena has certainly been a fortress for Purdue, really against anybody, but especially Iowa, winning 6 straight home games by a combined 114 points against Iowa. In those matchups, Mackey scored at least 77 points in 13 of the last 14 overall. So Purdue's been able to put up quite a few points in those matchups. And under Coach Painter, Purdue is 13-1 in his last 14 meetings against Iowa and Mackey. And as a ranked team, Purdue is 17-2 against Iowa and Mackey.
And all of that is why you are wrong. The answer is higher than that, Jake. They have a 95% chance of winning this game at home. They're going to win this game 86-67.
Hey, I hope you're right, but Bennett Sturts is he's a heck of a player. So he's undoubtedly the engine of Iowa's offense. I mean, he's a 6'4", senior point guard, averages 18 points, 2.5 rebounds, 5 assists, shoots 41% from 3. And he's kind of been talked about as a potential lottery pick. He just has really, really good feel around the basket, really good change of pace. He's able to get downhill, stop on a dime too. I mean, he can pull up jumpers. I mean, he can do quite a bit. And over the summer, both Bennett Sturts and Braden Smith were invited to Chris Paul's point guard camp, and pretty interesting that they were actually roommates at that camp. So they know each other a little bit. So I'm sure it'll be a good back and forth between them. He'll give Purdue some problems. I'm sure we'll see CJ Cox on him. They do play a pretty heavy pick and roll team. Purdue's also a very heavy pick and roll team, so they go kind of against that and practice quite a bit. But Iowa is one of the slowest offensive teams in the country in terms of tempo, even slower than Purdue. Their Iowa's offense in general is pretty good, pretty proficient. They are shooting on the season 58.4% from the field. That's good for 12th in the country, and 37% from 3, and that's good for 49th in the country. So,
and they got about 8 guys who can score.
Yes, they do. And one thing I think that'll give Purdue some problems here is the off-ball cutting. We've talked about in some of the past shows here that Purdue's been kind of caught sleeping and getting backdoored and cutting off the ball. So I'm sure they are aware of that, and they'll be practicing, sure to practice that this week leading up to it. But on the other side of the ball in defense, Iowa is ranked 6th in the nation in turnover percentage. So they're pretty good about forcing turnovers. Versus the Big Ten. Big Ten play, they're forcing turnovers on 20% of their possessions. So obviously, turnovers are obviously always a big point of contention for any team, but especially against a really good team like Iowa, certainly need to make sure we're taking care of the ball. So it's kind of a good little preview there of both sides of the ball there for offense and defense for Iowa.
It's going to be exceptional night, I believe, for Oscar Clough. This is a perfect game for him.
Iowa doesn't have kind of that big traditional Big Ten size. They've got a 6'10" junior center. Iowa does. Alvaro Folgueras. He is from Spain. He's pretty skilled. Averages 9.1 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. He's shooting 44% from 3. And we saw somebody kind of similar to that, a little bit shorter, but for Iowa State, they had a guy who was able to kind of stretch out and shoot some threes, and he would really kind of tore Purdue apart. Alvaro, he is pretty fluid, has a good passing, and also has the ability to create for others. So he's a versatile threat who can stretch the floor for sure. Also for Iowa, 6'9" senior center Cam Monyao. I think that's kind of how you pronounce that. I'll probably be wrong, but he starts, and he's got a really good motor, really athletic, and has a pretty good rim protector. So while he's not necessarily an offensive threat outside of the paint anyway, he does excel on short rolls, pick and roll, and is capable of catching it, certainly for lobs and at 12 feet out and kind of driving to the rim. So certainly be a big game for Oscar Clough. And Trey Kaufman ran as well. And I'm sure Daniel Jacobson will have some opportunities at the rim, both on offense and defense, to really show his value.
And watch for Braden Smith's defense to be a difference as well. Jake, your prediction?
Purdue is looking to go 5-0 in the Big Ten for the first time since the 2017-2018 season. And with a win, could achieve a 6-0 Big Ten start for only the 10th time in school history and just the 5th time since 1940. Purdue's 15-1 start matches the best 16-game start in school history. And over the last 4 years, Purdue is 27-3 during the month of January, which is good for second best winning percentage in the month of January in the nation. And with Purdue's they rank first in offensive efficiency, second in assist to turnover ratio, second in assists per game, 10th in 3-point percentage, 13th in field goal percentage, 13th in rebound margin, and 16th in scoring margin. I think it's going to be a big game for Braden Smith and TKR. I do think Iowa will have the ability to kind of keep it close, kind of like we've seen Penn State and Washington do. But ultimately, I think Purdue's going to end up winning this by 12. I'm going to go. Let's see. I'm going to go Purdue 90, Iowa 78. That'll be my prediction.
Hey, Jake, give us a football transfer portal update.
Quick update here on the portal. Purdue has seen 26 outgoing portal entries, and so far they have 23 incoming commits. So a fair amount of roster turnover here, but this isn't really about trimming the margins. This is really about kind of continuing that full rebuild here for Barry Odom and the staff. So this is this turnover kind of aligns with that year one of showing a little bit of progress, but not yet wins. And now the staff is kind of pushing hard for results. So this is where, again, that phase improvement has to turn to wins, or else Barry Odom may have a bleak future here in West Lafayette. But in an interview with some local media, Mike Babinski, athletic director for Purdue, did mention that for the 2025 season, so that the season that just completed a few months ago, Purdue did kind of withhold some of the rev share and NIL money that they had, knowing that some of the talent that was in the portal wasn't as strong as they'd like. So they have kind of done some upfront payments for some of these transfers that they have received. So I think that may be why we've seen a pretty solid class year for Purdue so far. Looking first at kind of what Purdue lost, we've saw kind of by position group here. We've seen 5 offensive line departures into the portal, most notably Braden Joyner, the starting center, and Hank Purvis, who started some games there towards the end of the season and played in a handful. Braden Joyner went to Florida State. Hank Purvis went to South Carolina. Next, kind of the next 2 biggest hit positions are linebacker and wide receiver, each with 4. Most notably, Alex Sanford. He transferred to Pitt. And Sanders Ellis, a guy who came from the FCS ranks and thought was going to be, pretty good player here for Purdue, but just never really seemed to have that quickness that they needed to see the field. He transferred down to Bowling Green, and in the wide receiver room, biggest loss there, Nitro Tuggle. He committed to South Carolina, and Armand Branch, who so at the start of the season was playing pretty well, but then kind of just disappeared. He transferred to South Florida.
The receiver group as a whole was pretty disappointing.
I would agree, and I think Purdue really improved in that department, and we'll get into that here in a second. Malachi Singleton, we've talked about, went to App State. Jerron Thomas, Minnesota. Chops Harkless, Kentucky. D'Amico Kennedy, Louisville. And today, actually, Spencer Porath, the kicker, transferred to Notre Dame. So that's one that was really kind of a surprise. It sounds like he, as a student, enrolled from Purdue and then enrolled in Notre Dame. So it's kind of weird how that turned out. Sounds like he's already enrolled in classes there, but you've lost certainly some pieces. But I think Purdue has Purdue's lost some experience, maybe a star or two, but that experience has been replaced here pretty fast. In the portal, Purdue has certainly prioritized production over potential. In the quarterback room, I know that was one of the biggest questions. Greg, we both said that we're not strong believers in Ryan Brown, but the staff does seem to be. I don't really foresee Purdue getting a quarterback from the portal. They already have 5 on the roster, so I don't really see them getting any more unless somebody enters the portal last minute, and that portal closes here on the 16th. On the flip side of what Purdue's brought in, they've gotten some pretty good commits from the running back room. A guy from Minnesota, Fame Ijaboy. That's maybe a butcher of a name there, but he for the season had 97 carries, 441 yards behind Darius Taylor, who's a really good running back for Minnesota. 6 foot, 210 pounds, got 3 years of eligibility left. He's got a really good chance of being, RB1 in that first week. They also got a commitment from Travis Terrell Jr. From Jackson State. He's got really good speed and is a really good returner. And then we've talked about Jarrett Gibson from Texas. He was formerly a pretty highly touted recruit, and he's a guy who's kind of a low risk, high upside swing. So really improved running back room after losing one of the best running backs in Purdue football history, Devin Mockabee, and some other guys that have transferred out and lost eligibility like Malachi Thomas. So that's really been kind of revived. And in the wide receiver room, Purdue got a commitment here in the past couple of days from Busy Owens from the University of Penn. He had 66 catches, 696 yards for 5 touchdowns last year, and for his career has 138 receptions. So he's a guy coming from the Ivy League. Is proved to be a pretty good pickup there. Has been able to produce, and he's I believe 6'4", so he's a good size. Picked up a commitment from Xavier Townsend this weekend. He's a 4-year player from Iowa State. Was also at UCF where he had some overlap with Darren Henshaw there, the quarterback's coach for Purdue, and has 84 career receptions. And then finally here, Assad Wasim from FAU. He had a breakout sophomore season, 66 catches for 699 yards. So pretty good. In the skill position outs there, running back and wide receiver, Purdue's had some pretty good success and has also beefed up the offensive line. And that was pretty mission critical, and I'd say that's been addressed for the most part. Picked up some guys that have picked up a guy from Oklahoma State who has started at left tackle all season. Picked up Boaz Stanley from South Carolina. He's got 9 starts at center, and picked up that duo that we talked about last week from USC, who has one of them has a handful of starts and one of them is a nice depth piece. On the defensive side, Purdue in the secondary picked up a nice piece, a guy named Mr. Clark. That is his name, Mr.
Nice.
Clark.
A lot of good names, man.
Yeah, first team all name there. He's from FIU. 59 tackles, 13 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. So he's pretty lengthy, and definitely gives Purdue some playmaking that is lacked. Jaden Mangum, he's a guy we talked about last week. He's a safety, played at Michigan and Michigan State, 103 career tackles, 4 interceptions. And then on the kind of that front 7, Purdue's picked up some good pieces on the defensive line, picked up some pieces in the linebacker room. So I think Purdue, what's missing here is edge rusher. Before we went live here a couple hours ago, Purdue picked up somebody from Virginia Tech who is a defensive end He's not really a needle mover, though, more of a depth piece. But Purdue is looking to host some visitors here this weekend at the edge position, and maybe like to get another defensive back, maybe another linebacker. Really, a guy who'd be a difference maker there to fill that spot from Manny Powell, who was led the Big Ten in tackles this year. But Purdue lost a lot, but they've been able to replace those departures with older players who have proven production and really just better size across the roster, and going to look physically more like a Big Ten team. So I think this portal class here so far is really kind of helped accelerate the rebuild rather than just surviving it.
Jake Dunn, thank you so much for your time as always. And everybody, thank you for listening. Always appreciate it. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a Purdue fan in your life. Help us spread the word that we're talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about every single day. Thanks again, Jake, and Boiler up.
Yeah, thank you. Boiler up.
Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.